The Seattle Seahawks are coming off a season where they completely overcame everybody's expectations, and Geno Smith showed the world why he can still actually be a franchise quarterback in this league. Last season, the Seahawks finished with a record of 9-8 and lost in the wild card round, but through free agency, the Seahawks absolutely killed it. However, with round one of the NFL draft out of the way, we could finally see the Seattle Seahawks' unbelievable blueprint, with them stealing both Devon Witherspoon and Jackson Smith-Njigba. In this video, I'll be breaking down the first round for the Seahawks and why they might have already won this draft, but more importantly, what they need to do next in order to shock the world in 2023. However, before we jump into the video, make sure you guys smash that like button. It helps out the channel so much, so let's see if we get the video up to 400 likes. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Seahawks and the rest of the NFL all offseason long, so join the family, turn on post notifications so you're notified every time we drop some breaking news. And one last thing, comment down below, who do you want the Seahawks to target in the second round of this draft? But without any further ado, let's jump right into today's video. Okay, so before we take a deep dive into the first two selections for the Seahawks, let's quickly take a look back at 2022 and see where the Seahawks rank compared to the rest of the NFL, just so we can get a better understanding of where they needed to improve the most coming into the draft. Now, offensively, the Seahawks were very solid last year, and with that being said, you know, they didn't really need to improve too much offensively, maybe just in the offensive line, but other than that, maybe some wide receiver depth. But guys, we're going to get into it in a second, but they did exactly that. Now, overall, the Seahawks last season ranked number 10 overall in points per game, number 13 in yards per game, number 20 in third down conversion percentage, number 27 in red zone scoring percentage, and number 11 in touchdowns scored per game. Now, obviously, a lot of areas needed to improve, or not a lot of areas need to improve. Just looking at that, it was not a bad offense. Not a bad offense at all. Maybe some, minor holes they need to fill, but not bad. But in the rushing game, the Seattle Seahawks really struggled to stay consistent. At times they really showed flashes of being really dominant in the running game, but at other times, they didn't look so great. Ranking number 8 in rush yards per attempt, number 22 in rush yards or rush attempts per game, number 18 in rush yards per game, and number 22 in rushing touchdowns scored per game. As we can see, they, did run the ball last season, not greatly, but with Kenneth Walker getting another season of development, another season as the number one guy here in Seattle with Rashad Penny out the way, I do think this team will take a major step up in their running game. They also added Evan Brown, a center, who helped them in the running game as well. Then you look at their passing game, they ranked number 1 in completion percentage, number 8 in pass yards per attempt, number 15 in pass attempts per game, number 12 in pass yards per game, number 12 in interception percentage, and number 23 in sack percentage. Looking at all these numbers, it shows me that overall this offense has a ton of potential to grow, and the upside in this offense can be incredible going forward. Now, offensively, they already made a big time move in this draft, drafting Jackson Smith-Njigba, and they're already looking more scary, and here's why. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the number 1 overall wide receiver taken in this year's NFL draft, and has the potential to be an absolute superstar in this league right away. In 2022, he was only able to play in 3 games due to a lingering hamstring injury, but man, in 2021 was he the best wide receiver in pretty much all of college football, and he will bring that same level of intensity to Seattle. Ending 2021 with 95 receptions, over 1,600 yards, and he also added an unbelievable Rose Bowl game where he put up 15 catches, 347 yards, and 3 touchdowns in just one game. If you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, this offense is going to be so exciting to watch from here on out. I mean, just look at what they have, the weapons that they are building around Geno Smith with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You now got the first-round pick in Jackson Smith-Njigba. You got Dwayne Eskridge, a former second-round pick wide receiver who still needs to develop a little bit more, but he could be really good in the future. You got Charles Cross, former first round pick left tackle Damian Lewis panning out to be a pretty solid left guard. Evan Brown coming over from Detroit. You still got Abraham Lucas at right tackle, the former third round pick. Noah Fant coming over from Denver. You got Geno. You got the former second round pick in Kenneth Walker. I mean, this team is really starting to come together here for Seattle. They do need some depth at running back, some more depth at wide receiver, but they will continue to add that without the, through the rest of this draft and undrafted free agency as well. They continue to look better and better, as each day passes. But like I said, the draft of the offseason is nowhere near over, and they can still improve a lot from here on out. Now, before we jump into the defense side of the ball, make sure you guys smash that like button if you're enjoying the video so far. I will be covering the entire NFL offseason, which includes the rest of free agency, the rest of the NFL draft, any trades that take place. I got you guys covered. So subscribe to the channel and hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Now, defensively, the Seahawks were actually very underwhelming last year. As well as we knew coming into the offseason, the defense was going to drastically need to change going into 2023. And we knew from day one that Seattle would have to have some holes to fill. But the great news is they've made a ton of amazing signings through free agency and landed one of the top cornerbacks in the entire draft that will overall change the whole culture of this defense going forward. But let's again take a look at their numbers from last season. Now, last season, they ranked number 25 in points allowed per game, number 28 in yards allowed per game, number 27 in third down conversion percentage, number 23 in red zone scoring percentage allowed, and number 26 in touchdowns allowed per game. Overall, this defense was, pretty terrible last season, and they needed to find a way to just get better, and they did that throughout free agency, but more importantly, the draft as well already started with a bang. Now, let's take a more in-depth look at where they rank defensively. The Seahawks defense, rushing-wise, ranked number 26 in yards allowed per rush, number 30 in rush yards allowed per game, number 27 in rush touchdowns allowed per game as well. Actually, compared to their defense or pass defense, which was slightly better, ranking number 11 in completion percentage allowed, number 22 in pass yards allowed per attempt, number 17 in passing yards allowed per game, number 13 in interception percentage, and number 10 in sack percentage. Now, this is where things get very interesting. The Seahawks added Devon Witherspoon in the draft, one of the best cornerbacks in the entire draft class, and he's on his way to Seattle, shaping up to be a day one starter in what looks to be the start of the Legion of Boom Part 2. Now, obviously, cornerback wasn't a major need for the Seahawks coming into the draft, but just because they strictly already had Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant of last season, who they drafted, but they must have seen a ton of potential in Devon Witherspoon, who is a 6 foot, 185-pound cornerback who helped Illinois be the top scoring defense last season in all of college football. In 2022, he ended the season with 41 tackles, 17 passes deflected, and 3 interceptions, being named the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. And guess what? Witherspoon might not be the biggest corner in the world, but he is known for laying the boom with his hard hits, always playing more physically than the guy across from him. Overall, this defense is looking stacked, and we still have 6 more rounds in the draft with undrafted free agency and the rest of free agency as well. I mean, this defense is looking good. You got Draymond Jones, you got Brian Moan, you got Jaron Reed, Darrell Taylor, Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner coming back. You got Uchenna Nwosu, a starting linebacker starting corner in Devon Witherspoon. Also, I forgot about Devin Bush coming over here. Still got Jamal Adams, still got Quandre Diggs, Tariq Woolen coming off an amazing season. You got Julian Love coming over from New York, Kobe Bryant, Trey Brown. I mean, this team is looking absolutely loaded. There are some positions of need going forward, which includes defensive end, nose tackle, a little bit of offensive line, maybe safety as well. Running back definitely needs some depth there as well with wide receiver. But man, Seattle holds picks 37 and 52 and still can make a lot happen in this draft. But look for them to shore up the trenches with some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen going forward. There's still a ton of talent left in this draft, and Seattle is a great opportunity to win this draft, today. Now, let me know in the comment section down below who is someone you want the Seahawks to target in the second round of this draft. Let me know who you guys think will break out in 2023 for Seattle. But make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.